Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for being patient with us as we work this double homicide that occurred here in Seminole County. Tredarius Randy, 26 years old, and Tiffany Church, 35. What I'd like to do is really talk about kind of where we're at. I'll give a recap on the investigation up until this point, and then talk about the information and ask for really a plea for the public's help on providing some additional details. We first received information back Thursday, December 31st, but the last time we knew that they had been seen, both Tredarius and Tiffany, was Wednesday, late evening hours, Wednesday, December 30th. And that was when they were seen at a gas station in Sanford. They almost went off the radar and off the grid maybe an hour or two just after that. Their phones were no longer receiving telephone calls from family or friends. It was the next day on December 31st where the rental car, a 2021 Toyota Camry, was located at 1980 Cameron. That's in the city of Sanford, and that vehicle had a bullet hole in it. And obviously, that raises suspicion anytime you see that, and especially considering that we believe the two occupants at that time were missing and nobody had seen them. It was shortly after that we made contact with the family members, people who would know about their potential whereabouts, where we put them out as missing and endangered, and that was on Thursday, the 31st. Saturday, January 2nd of 21. That's when we discovered the body of Tredarius at Lake Jessup Park. That was basically a man that was down walking his dog. It was pretty routine for him to go down there and walk his dog. He saw what appeared to be a body. He summons the assistance of some boaters that were in the area, and then we worked on the recovery. It appeared at that particular scene that the crime had not occurred there, but rather he was taken from the vehicle and then left there. Of course, that raises everyone's investigative abilities, and it is all hands on deck in search at the time, hopefully, to recover Tiffany Church safely. We called upon the assistance of Crime Line to really encourage the public to provide information on her whereabouts or information leading to the murder of Rainey. And the public was a tremendous help in making calls into Crime Line and to our office. And I want to thank our partners with the media, because I know you played a big part in getting the word out there and showing great patience with us as we worked through this. We also called upon the assistance of local police departments and sheriff's offices from throughout the region. We had the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, the Department of Corrections with their search canines. We had our dive team completely searching with sonar in the waterway, looking for any evidence at the scene there at Lake Jessup and other areas. We deployed our volunteer search and rescue team that was out there, our aviation and patrol units. And again, it was a combined effort, but those calls have continued to come in ever since then. The next date of significance was on Tuesday, just yesterday, January 5th, when we recovered the body of what now has been positively identified as Tiffany Church on Glenway Drive. And again, it appears that maybe she had been left there, and that does not appear to be the crime scene of the murder. Both victims were shot. Tredarius was shot multiple times. Tiffany appears to be shot one time. We're pretty confident that the perpetrator or perpetrators that are involved in this case were known to the victims. I think that that's an important factor out there. Anytime we have a homicide, people are wondering whether or not there's some random murderer or murderers that are out there. We are a high level of confidence that the, again, perpetrator or perpetrators were known to the victims. Based upon the totality of circumstances and evidence, we are honing in on persons of interest in this. And again, that's based upon the feedback that we're getting from the community. There's multiple stories out there, and I'm sure that many of our media partners have heard that it was everything from the motive of a drug deal gone bad to a retaliatory murder based upon a robbery. We're not pinpointing any one of those things, but we are following up on every one of those investigative leads as they come in. At this point in time, our investigators continue to work to evaluate physical evidence that was taken from the scene, working with our prosecutors at the 18th Judicial Circuit to make sure that they are in lockstep with all that we're doing right now. We have various subpoenas out for additional information. And again, the tragic effort of how both of these victims died is something that is so heinous, and we will work to ensure that the families of these victims find closure, and that the person or people responsible for this are held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. This will be, again, an ongoing process. We encourage people who have those stories or have some information to report that, because they can be eligible right now for up to a $5,000 reward by just sharing information. And that does not have to come into the sheriff's office. If somebody wants to provide information and remain completely anonymous, they can contact Crime Line at 1-800-423-TIPS, provide that information. If it leads to credible information and the apprehension of a suspect, again, no questions asked, up to a $5,000 reward for that information. That's what we're prepared to release at this time. As you can imagine, and you've heard it a million times if you've been in this business, some of the things we're not able to disclose at this time. The last thing we want to do is to do anything that's going to jeopardize our investigation or tip off people to exactly where we're at. But with that, I will open the floor for any questions, but please understand that I can only say what I feel comfortable saying without jeopardizing where we're at this point.
Sheriff, you mentioned that perpetrators or perpetrator may know victims here. Are those perpetrators possibly known to law enforcement?
Well, we know who we think may be involved, and again, we're honing in on people of interest. I'm not to the point now where I want to call them suspects in the case, but typically when these investigations happen, we take as much information as we can gather investigatively. We listen to reports from citizens, and really that helps us kind of recount the circumstances 48 hours leading up to their disappearance and ultimate death. We know who those people are now, and we're just waiting to make sure that we compare the evidence we have to their names. When these investigations evolve to that point, you really get one solid shot at this thing, and you want to make sure that you're prepared before you do that.
How many people do you guys think is involved in this? You say one person or multiple people?
Yeah, when it comes to these types of situations, we always go broader. We're looking not only for the people who actually held the firearm, but anybody who may have worked with them, anybody who may have had any information with it, anybody who may have helped them. So we're looking at a handful of people right now, just as people of interest. And again, sometimes there's some confusion about person of interest. People think that automatically a person of interest is a suspect. When I use person of interest, I mean people that we feel can help us with this investigation and potentially lead us to a suspect.
Can you tell if they were both shot at the same time? Is there any way of knowing that? Or the condition of the body?
There is a way of knowing that. We don't know if they were shot at the same time as of yet. That will be something that we hone in on, because knowing that there's multiple crime scenes here. We have where the initial incident took place, which again, our investigators are working to actually determine that location. We have the location where Rainey was found at Lake Jessup Park. We have the location where a church body was found in the city of Sanford. And then we had the location there in Sanford on Cameron, where the vehicle was discovered with the bullet hole inside the door and all of that. So what we typically do is forensically examine all of those scenes, put all the pieces together. A lot of times that takes a little bit of time because when you're dealing with digital forensics and physical forensics, you wait for labs and tests to come back. So we're still awaiting the final return on some of those things. To answer your question, we don't know if they were shot at the same location or not as of yet. Yeah, I think that when you have these investigations, one of the greatest value that we have is working with our media partners to get the word out there and really compelling on law-abiding citizens that feel it's their responsibility to step up. I mean, Tiffany Church was a mother of two, and Tredarius Rainey was a 26-year-old man. Nobody deserves to die and be found on the side of the road for anything. So what I want to do is to do all that I can and all our team can to compel people who know information about what happened here to report that. And to know that, again, you can report that and remain completely anonymous. Sometimes people are fearful of sharing information even when they know it's the right thing to do in their heart. You can be completely anonymous, and that can go right to Crime Line. Great partner for law enforcement. And again, to sweeten the deal a little bit, you can be eligible for up to $5,000 just for doing that. So, again, that's the biggest assistance our public can provide to us right now. Our investigators are working hard. They are around the clock doing all that they can. Our community members are calling in. Many of our partners in the city of Sanford have already around the clock been sharing information about what they know with us. But again, the more information that we can get in, the better work that we can do to make sure that this person or people are apprehended and no one else is in harm's way. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't know how many bullet holes. I know that there's at least one bullet hole in the car. We have the car. We're examining the car. I don't know that I want to hone into too much detail on that part of it, but when it was originally reported at the location, the individual went out there and saw a bullet hole in the car, and there was blood inside the car too. And obviously that raises suspicion for any person, and that's when we initially got the call. Yeah, I'm not gonna share that part of it yet. Yeah, it would be pure speculation now, Eric. I'll tell you, I and our team really think we have a pretty good idea of what happened. But again, we'd rather have the evidence come in to support that before we get ahead of ourselves to do it.
Sheriff, you mentioned the stories that we've been hearing throughout the community, and obviously the media has been hearing those stories as well. Um, is it clear at all if Rainey was the target here and Church was unfortunately just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time? That's one of the things we've been hearing.
Yeah. I don't know that it appears that they were in a relationship together. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, and to make that jump right now of who the primary target was, I think would be pure speculation. We just don't know that. They're both unfortunate victims. They were there, and we will have the answer to those types of questions as soon as this timeline comes back. Typically, we as citizens leave ourselves a digital footprint. People know where we're at. Typically, we've got computers and phones, and we just live our lives. We many times use debit cards, and so when those pieces come back together, I think we'll have a better understanding about the hours leading up to the disappearance and ultimate murder. I don't think that they had. Actually, I don't know. I don't think that they had a traditional occupation. Typically one of the first things that we do when we see cases like this, if they are employed by an employer, we would typically go and ask them, when are they due back to work? Have you heard them? Have they had any troubles? I don't know that that's the case here. Anybody know if they had any traditional jobs? No, that they did not. Any more? Go ahead.
Do you know if the perpetrator or perpetrators are still in this area? Are we thinking some of them might be out of the area now?
We don't know. Honestly, we have a list of people of interest. I haven't gone to the point where I've called them suspects as of yet. I think we have a pretty good understanding of where these individuals are at. Some of them are local, some of them may not be local, but I think that that kind of gets honed in a little bit. I will tell you that the long arm of the law has the ability to reach you regardless of where you're at, and we know how to get people when they become a suspect. So.
Would it be safe to say there's a vehicle out there without evidence in it you haven't found? Without evidence that your body's transported in it?
I don't know that we can say that. I think that that would maybe jump in. We don't have any reports or evidence that indicate that there's another vehicle that's involved at this time. Now, I don't want to rule that out. I mean, there may be somebody from the public that wants to call and provide that information, but I have not heard reports through our crime line tips or reports in the community that that is the case. I mean, there was some trauma inside the back of the car that we recovered. It was clearly a vehicle that was used in this crime, so I don't know that we're looking for another person that's out there. Thank you guys for covering this, and I truly appreciate it because we could not get this word out there without you, and I'm incredibly grateful not only for your willing to do this, but your patience with us as we work through these details as well. Thank you.